Alright, so here is another Megadeth unboxing, and today we're going to be taking a look at their first album. The very first album they released all the way back in 1985. Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good. Released in May of 1985. Now, this version that I have is actually the 2002 remixed and remastered version, containing 3 demos and a brand new cover art. Well, here's the cover art. It's the first known edition of Vic Rattlehead, the mascot, which I mistakenly said was Eddie from Iron Maiden. My bad. This is not the original cover art. It's actually just the reissued cover art. The thumbnail should have the original cover art where it's like an actual skull or just a fake skull. But this is the 2002 reissued version through Loud Records, as you can see. And something you may have already noticed is that "And Business Is Good" is not actually on this side. It says "And Business Is Good." So you'll see it, "And Business Is Good" is also on this side. Whereas in the original spine, it did not have that. It just had the actual name. Okay, so here's the tracks. Last Rites, Love to Death, spelled death like Megadeth. Here's, yeah. The first one's actually just in like an interlude, and the second one is a track, but it's all on one track and not just a separate track, which I gotta give them credit for that. It's worth mentioning that they had like $8,000 to produce this album, thanks to Combat Records. And while they spent most of it on other things like alcohol, they still produced an overall solid album. But you wouldn't say it's their most greatest. Like, it's definitely more raw than the later releases. It's also, I think it's also like their only one that was just on Combat Records, as they would get signed to Capitol a year later with "Peace Sells, But Who's Buying." Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good, the title track. That one was kind of controversial because some guy requested to have it played on a radio station, claiming it was a good song to go postal to, and that guy got apprehended, so there's that. It's obviously the title track. Skull Beneath the Skin is my favorite track on here. It's really only my favorite on here. It's not a bad album, but I wouldn't say it's their greatest. Rattlehead, Chosen One, Looking Down the Cross. It's also worth mentioning that this isn't the original track listing. Because of the remastered, they changed the track listings. It's not the only remaster. They had a 2018 remake with live tracks, as well as the 3 bonus tracks. Mechanics was actually part of the 2 other bands Dave Mustaine was a part of, Panic and Metallica. However, after getting fired from Metallica because of a drinking problem, I believe, Metallica actually reworked the song into the 4 Horsemen as part of Kill 'Em All. There's been a dispute about the song credits you've seen. These Boots, which is, if I'm not mistaken, Megadeth's first cover song, originally by Nancy Sinatra in the 60s. There was also a controversy with that from one of the writers, claiming it was a perversion of the original and wanted it omitted from there. Here's the demos. Last Rites, Love to Death demo, Mechanics demo, and the Skull Beneath the Skin demo. They sound pretty good. There's the Loud Records, SRC. This package contains previously released material. And at the bottom, we have a memory of Gar Samuelson. He was the original drummer, and in July of 1999, he died from liver failure. I don't know if I feel like there was something I forgot to mention but didn't. Here's the disc. It's just standard. It's just text on the disc. There's nothing else on it. Back tray card. It's pretty much just the front cover with the thing being grayed out. Here's the. Okay, we'll pull the booklet out. Okay. It's a lot bigger than the original, I'll tell you that. We even got some typical remake things, like a bigger story on the album itself, as well as a picture that I don't think was released before. I could be wrong. It probably was released or something. There's more story, as well as some quotes from the people, the lyrics, some backstory behind it, which is cool. It's called Beneath the Skin. And even has the solos listed, so that Megadeth one I took a look at the other day was not the only one. Maybe they've done it for all albums, and I just never knew. It's also worth mentioning that despite this being a remaster, it's not part of the remixed and remastered series. Like the one with the special spine that forms art, like as seen in Peace Sells But Who's Buying. And it doesn't have like the back, and it's not like the back cover, which I think it's just the front cover, but like flipped a bit and such. There's bonus tracks. Here's the end with the pictures. We got the end here with all the thank yous. It's not that big. This one was remixed, as I mentioned before, so it definitely sounded a lot different than the originals, but I've never really heard the songs from the original album. This is the only album I've necessarily... It's the only version of the album I've heard of, at least. So, I don't know. Maybe they could have sounded different. Maybe they sound more raw in the originals, but overall, it's a pretty good album. I wouldn't say it's their best, but if you're a Megadeth fan, it's definitely worth finding. And personally, if you're going to listen to this, get the remake. It sounds better, and it's got the demos, so if you don't like the originals, you can listen to the demos on here. And that's all I gotta say. Have a good night, my Ohioans.